It's been a little over a month now since Rand Paul's filibuster, and more it's looking like this was a great moment of American political history, maybe a great moment of American history. This is my take on it. A dramatic sight of Rand Paul standing alone in the well of the Senate March 6, 2013, speaking up for the U.S. Constitution, asking the questions that the media and the power establishment was too busy or indifferent to ask, is a picture that will forever be burned into the psyche of many Americans. And the key point here was that he was alone. The rest of Washington, D.C., the politicians, television producers, White House staff had scattered across town to posh restaurants, enjoying their cocktails, regaling each other with the day's successes, and smugly talking about tomorrow's deals, another day of work behind them. That afternoon, Senator Rand Paul had begun what would be a 13-hour filibuster, promising to hold up the confirmation of the new director of the CIA until the president answered a very simple question. Does the president's newly assumed power to kill a U.S. citizen without arrest or trial apply to non-combatants here in the United States? It was a reasonable question. Under President Obama, the U.S. government had begun an unprecedented policy of killing U.S. citizens if they were deemed as terrorists. Forget Miranda rights. They couldn't even have a trial. And this could happen anywhere in the world. The United States did not have to be at war with a country. They could violate the airspace and commit these killings in the Middle East, in Asia, in Europe. In 2010, famously, Anwar al-awlaki, an American citizen, was killed in a drone missile strike on a desert road in Yemen. 2 weeks later, his son, born in Denver, Colorado, with no ties to terrorism, searching for his father's body in Yemen, was likewise killed by an American drone strike. The killing of al-awlaki was justified because of his rabble-rousing sermons, which had inspired terrorists. The son's killing was, a mistake. The media has been remarkably silent. In February, when asked about drone missiles now circling key locations here in the United States, the White House was asked if the president had the power to kill U.S. citizens without trial on American soil, or was this just something he could do overseas? The White House assured the amazingly docile American media that the Justice Department had agreed the president indeed had this power. The country seemed lulled into a trance. This included its once fierce, uncompromising, professional watchdog media, now held tightly by its corporate leashes, reduced to reading press releases and providing entertainment. The trance included corrupt politicians busy making money off insider trading, too busy to take time to defend something as esoteric as a constitutional right. It included the courts, now malleable to public opinion, intimidated by American culture just as much as politicians. Even the public was silent, too intellectually lazy to care. So Rand Paul, like the sassy kid in the proverbial story, "The Emperor Has No Clothes," asked aloud the question no one else would ask. The White House snickered, the media ignored it, President Obama refused to answer, nor would anyone else. Former President George Bush was silent. So was Bill Clinton, so was Al Gore, John McCain, Speaker John Boehner, not a peep. This was apparently a tough question. At first, there was not much of a reaction to this filibuster. In the afternoon, when a member of the White House press corps asked about it, the president's spokesman openly laughed. There was a mention on Fox News, several mentions, and on MSNBC, but basically otherwise it was pretty well ignored. But as the night wore on, Americans finished their meals and sat at their monitors or picked up their iPhones to answer some mail. The word of the drama unfolding on the floor of the U.S. Senate began to spread. Some called it a Twitter blizzard, a mocking reference to a snowstorm that didn't happen as predicted in D.C. First, it resonated among the Liberty Movement and their base, which had been pretty silent for a while on this. Rand Paul had launched a filibuster. He wouldn't stop talking until the president answered his question. And then it began to spread across partisan and ideological lines. What's a filibuster? Why won't the president answer such a simple question? What happened to the watchdog media? How could they let such a question go unanswered? By 9 p.m., normal television viewing was skewed. NBC's popular Law and Order was losing its audience. People rushed online to streaming video or YouTube-captured videos of the drama. C-SPAN viewers spiked. Cable television began to be dominated by the spectacle. With the public aroused, finally the politicians reacted. A parade of senators, Republican and Democrat, rushed back to help. Ron Paul, Mike Lee made another appearance, this time with Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, Mitch McConnell. They were all, in my opinion, a minute too late and $1 too short. Senator Rand Paul, all by himself without any help, had electrified the nation. Thursday morning, as he began recovering from his 13-hour filibuster, the president finally answered Rand Paul's question and the CIA director was confirmed. A lot of other things were confirmed as well. Number one, Rand Paul is unquestionably one of the most dominant and electrifying leaders of this liberty movement, and he can punch those buttons whenever he chooses. Others have to wait. Number two, he is no political slouch. He has guts. Number three, Rand Paul is the first candidate since Ronald Reagan to actually lead an ideological movement. Number four, the old left-right Cold War paradigm is dead. Rand Paul represents a new philosophy back to the Constitution, and it attracts support across the political spectrum from left to right. Number five, the fact that the country is moving in his direction and his father's direction, and that the packaging of his message is more palatable than his father's, Rand Paul can win the presidency. From a purely historical perspective, one wonders how much further are we going to go in gutting the Constitution and sacrificing our rights to keep us safe. How much bigger will government get? How many more powers will be seized by the executive branch? How much future legislation will be accomplished by executive fiat? At what point will we go so far down the road that we cannot find our way back? And we learned that our form of government has changed before our eyes without discussion. Will Rand Paul's filibuster be nothing more than an empty moment of theater on our way to a future government run by a single chief executive serving at the pleasure of 15 television moguls? Or will it mark the high water mark of the new post-9/11 tyranny and the beginning of a self-examination that will take us back to a renewal of our hard-won constitutional republic? We can only hope and pray for the latter. Thanks, Doug Wead.